Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. And this is a paid request from Michael. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. I do have a Cash App as well. Feel free. If you send it through PayPal, make sure to send it on the family and friends option, as PayPal takes a cut of it. And it could be any topic, random tier list, movie review, re-review, commentary reaction, video game playthrough, whatever the case may be, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. So thank you. So Michael requested the film Ordinary People from 1980, which I had heard of, but I had never seen until now. And it's directed by Robert Redford. Yes, the actor. And this did well at the box office. It got some Academy Award nominations and wins, including it won Best Picture. I think it won Best Director as well. It was nominated, I think the film has Donald Sutherland, Mary Tyler Moore, Judd Hirsch, Timothy Hutton. I think Judd Hirsch and Mary Tyler Moore were nominated. Maybe Timothy Hutton as well. Sadly, I know Donald Sutherland was not, which I thought was kind of crappy because he was really good in the film, so for some reason him not being part of it, I thought that was kind of weird. I liked this film. I'll just get straight to the point. I really did like it. I thought it was a fairly good drama because it had a good story, great cast. In a way, at times, not because of the exact storyline, but there's certain moments that made me feel like this is a precursor to Good Will Hunting. In particular, the scenes between the psychiatrist Judd Hirsch and the patient Timothy Hutton. There are elements that remind me of like when Robin Williams and Matt Damon worked together in Good Will Hunting. And I thought it was a nice story on tragedy and how some people just can't manage to move on and they want to think everything's normal, which is more toxic than... to be very toxic when handled the wrong way. But yeah, I quite liked this movie. The story is, you got Donald Sutherland and Mary Tyler Moore. They're married. They have a son played by Timothy Hutton. And before going on, Donald Sutherland, it was great to see this because sadly he passed away not too long ago. I always thought he was a great actor. My favorite role of his would be Lock Up as the warden. Plays such a good villain going up against Sylvester Stallone. I think that's a very underrated movie from the late 80s. Lock Up, I think, is a wonderful film. But he was in Backdraft, and he was in the 70s Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Great scene in JFK as the informant talking with Kevin Costner. Wonderful actor. It was great to see him in a lead role where he's not playing a villain or a crazy guy. He's just a good father. A good guy trying to do the best that he can. You have Mary Tyler Moore as the wife, Timothy Hutton's mother, who is a person that... And it was cool to see because you think of Mary Tyler Moore, you think of her TV show. Very different kind of role where she's someone that... in a way is oblivious, but in another way it's someone just not wanting to either admit or has buried stuff deep down so much that in a way inadvertently starts to kill her marriage, and it's like an infection into her soul in a way, where she's not portrayed as a villain, but at the same time she does things where, you know, you easily interpret she is in the wrong. Judd Hirsch plays a psychiatrist. I thought he did a good job. He was the dad, Jeff Goldblum's dad in Independence Day, and he's done a lot of other stuff as well. But what was that TV show, Tatsy, I believe, and Judd Hirsch, he was very likable, he was funny, He had a lot of good chemistry with Timothy Hutton. And then Timothy Hutton, who would be in films, was it The Dark Half, I believe, among others. He plays a guy who, him and his brother named Buck, they were sailing. There was an accident, a storm. They didn't go back in time. One of them lived, one of them died. The older son, Buck, died, so the younger son, he can't handle that. He feels guilty. At one point, he tried to do that deed. And now he's out of the hospital and he's trying to have a life together. Get his life back together, going to school, and ultimately start seeing this psychiatrist played by Judd Hirsch. Other people, Adam Baldwin, who would be in Predator 2, Full Metal Jacket, he plays one of the students that hangs out for a bit with Timothy Hutton's character. And throughout the film, it's either this kind of tension between Timothy Hutton and his mom, Mary Tyler Moore, while the dad is kind of the referee of it. Timothy's character, he feels alienated, he's having nightmares. You see that the dad is trying, like Donald Sutherland, he's trying. And that was really heartwarming because I know they don't sound strange, but a lot of times these type of stories, it's always, not always, but a lot of times it's the mother's the more understanding and the father's the one who's tougher and can't understand those emotions and is either frigid or cold or stern or like a, not a bad guy, but close to it. Like, it's kind of refreshing to do something different where this is a actually very heartwarming father-son story. What Donald Sutherland means well, he does the best he's really trying. He's asking, he doesn't push it too much, and you just really feel sorry for that character. And he's the one that's trying to understand and be there for his son while the mom is like, hey, let's go to London and be normal. And Sutherland's like, well, I don't think that's right. I think you should be here. And he starts keep seeing this guy. And she is in this like weird emotional bubble where there's even a point where one time Donald Sutherland goes, someone asked you about the funeral. Well, why you have to ask about the funeral? That was so long ago. Like, well, can't we just leave it be? And Donald Sutherland goes, no, there was a time when that day you were bothered by what kind of shoes I was wearing. And I think about it, I go, what does it matter what shoes I was wearing? Because we're going to the funeral of our son. So what didn't matter what shoes I had. And like the way the characters played it, they played it natural. Like I believe these characters, because there are people who go through a tough event and they shut down to the point that they're just, I mean, for lack of a better word, they become toxic. They act in a way where she is pretty nonchalant with her other son, Timothy Hutton's character, and thinks the world is out to get her, and at times seems very self-centered, me, and even Timothy starts to think that his own mom hates him. He starts trying to change his ways where he doesn't really want to be part of the swimming team. Oh, Emmett Walsh, he plays the swim coach. He's not in it a whole lot, but it was nice to see him in there. He was in Critters, Red Scorpion. He was Chuck Norris's buddy in the first Missing in Action. He realized he can't really be with his old friends because it's a bit tough for him to deal with. But he's also going out with this girl, which is kind of helping him along the way. I thought that, like, even though it was 2 hours long, I didn't really feel it. Like, it was pulling me along for the ride because I was getting to the characters. the relationships they had with each other. I like the way Robert Redford at times had these little flashes, like when Donald Sutherland is running, and he'll have we see like these little, either when he's running, or there's a point where he's kind of riding, and he just sees these flashes of like when his son tried to end his life, or he's remembering the arguments between his wife and his son, and just how it's dealing with him, and how it's affecting with him, and how, again, it's hard to get back to normal when something like that happens. For some, it's impossible. Again, I like the scenes between the psychiatrist and Timothy Hutton because, like I said, like Good Will Hunting, the two work well together. There's some moments that made me laugh. For example, when Judd is trying to get the guy to get mad, get angry, yell, and he's like, "Oh, what's the point? Oh, what do you mean, what's the point? Come on, man, come on, say something." And so he gets the guy so riled up. Timothy Hutton says something like, "Yeah, your wife, I bet you're married to a fat lady, and then you go home and you fuck the living daylights out of her." And he's like, "Yeah, it sounds good to me." I liked. I thought that was a very funny way Judd Hirsch said that. But you also buy him being and becoming a good friend to Timothy Hutton's character. Now, I wouldn't say the love story that Timothy has with the girl was the most interesting part of the movie, but it didn't bother me a whole lot. There's a person that Timothy Hutton's character talks to on a phone. I thought that character could have been implemented in the story more. Because I don't even remember seeing her. We might have seen her, but that's the thing, is she does become an important character later on, but, well, the fact I'm blanking out is probably my own fault of blanking it out. I was just more interested in the other stuff, but, so maybe it's my fault, maybe it's not the movie's fault. But there's spoilers. There's a character that he talks to on the phone who was at the hospital with him, and then near the third act, calls her and he finds out that she ended her life, and he completely breaks down, a mental breakdown. His parents are away on a vacation, and he breaks down and has this cathartic moment with the psychiatrist. So that's a very important thing. That's why this is stupid me. For a split second, I thought it was the girl he was going out with, but it wasn't. That's what I mean, is that we spend a lot of time with him and this girl he's going out with for such an important event to happen. Number one, I'm actually surprised he didn't call that girl he's going out with to find someone to talk. But it made sense to talk to the psychiatrist first. So that's actually the more logical choice. But I just wish the girl with the phone, like the girl who ended her life, like I wish she seemed a bit more prominent in the film. Like we saw scenes where they visit each. Because I don't remember a scene where he visits her while she's in the hospital. Like comes to see her. And like there's a couple like tries on the phone he does, but I just wish she seemed more prominent, so that when this event happens, it feels much more of a gut punch for the audience. But for me, I'm like, who is that girl? Okay, it's a girl he was friends with, and that would make him sad, of course. But it, like deep down, that would be bad. But at the same time, because I barely know the person, I was that thing of difference between. In reality, of course, you would feel one way, but you're watching a film and that separation. I just think if we got to actually know her a bit more, it would have been a bigger punch for the audience as well. Oh, there's that girl who seemed very sweet, and we grew to like her. So we feel how he feels, and we could feel his anxiety. because we felt that way about her too, with the little bit of time we spent with her. Like that kind of dichotomy. If that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, I thought Judd Hirsch and Timothy Hutton had some really good emotions throughout this breakthrough. It didn't remind me a bit of later in Good Will Hunting. Now, during that time, and this is more spoilers, during that time, Donald Sutherland and Mary Tyler Moore, they went on vacation, and then throughout it, they have a bit of an argument. And the way she acts and behaves kind of opens up Donald Sutherland's eyes a bit to what's going on. Obviously, this couldn't happen because of the doctor-patient confidentiality. But like, there's a nice bit where Donald went to Judd Hirsch, and they have a nice little scene together where he's like, "I don't really know why I'm here, and I know you can't say anything about my son," but then he starts talking, and he's like, "Maybe I know why I'm here. Maybe I need this too." Now, we never see any sessions between Donald and the Judd Hirsch when those actually begin, which I did because it's already 2 hours, but it would have been nice to hear at least a little bit of it, at least for me. But it would have been nice if maybe somehow, like when they get home and he's thinking about this, but then somehow finds out that something bad happened to his son and he wasn't there for him. And but whether, like I said, the doctor wouldn't tell him, so I don't know how, like, somehow he was able to find out. And so he feels bad that he wasn't there for his son when he really needed him, and there was this mental breakdown, but he wasn't there because his wife was adamant on having this. And maybe the wife says like one more smart aleck thing that really just pushes him over the edge. I just, this one little thing, this one little push. Because I do like the way it ends. I thought it was very effective. Where, and this is why I think it's a shame that like, the others deserve their nominations. And let me pull up actually what they all were so I can get that correct. But the fact that Donald Sutherland did not get any nomination Oscar-wise, I thought that was pretty shitty. He was nominated for a Golden Globe, but he didn't win. Mary Tyler Moore and Timothy Hutton won. But yeah, it was nominated for it won Best Picture, it won Best Director. Mary Tyler Moore was nominated. Judd Hirsch was nominated. Timothy Hutton won the Oscar, and then it won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. And then even Golden Globes, Mary Tyler Moore and Timothy Hutton won. Judd Hirsch was nominated. But the fact that, again, Donald Sutherland was not nominated, I thought this bit alone I thought was very effective, where he's kind of sitting down and she's like, "What do you say?" And he gives a speech about how she's been acting. You buried all your love with Buck. Maybe it was the best of you that was buried. I don't know who you are anymore. And I don't know if I love you anymore. Now he says more than that, but you're very effective, very quiet, very reserved, but to the point as well. Which definitely shapes her. But I mean, it's very telling when he asked, "Do you love me?" And instead of saying, "Yes, I love you," or "Of course I love you," she says, "I feel the same way about you as when we first met." Which, that's not really an answer. If she thought you were an asshole when you first met, she could still think you're an asshole. So, I mean, that's not really the answer to have. So she leaves. And I like the nice father and son moment where he yells at him, but he apologizes, and Timothy Hutton's like, no, no, you should do that. Like you did with Buck. It's like, well, I didn't need to do it with you. You were always so hard on yourself. Felt bad even if I tried, and seemed like you knew you were doing. And it's something about like, don't look up to people, don't hero worship people, you'll be disappointed. Because Timothy Hutton says about how he looked up to his dad and how it seemed like you always knew what to do and you had a good head on your shoulders. He's like, oh, you'd be opening yourself up for disappointment. And Timothy Hutton goes, I'm not disappointed. Pretty much saying how he really cares for his dad, says he loves his dad, and they hug. It's a very nice, heartfelt moment between father and son, which it's nice to see because, as dumb as it sounds, you don't really get a whole lot of that. At least in this way, in this fashion. So I thought that was very nice and effective. That's why, again, maybe the fact is, they went on vacation, so they're so away from the problem. But I guess that's fine. But something about like Donald Sutherland not knowing how close Timothy was to doing maybe something crazy again. I wouldn't say it rubbed me the wrong way, but I wish he could have found out, and then maybe something Mary Tyler Moore did, and then that was the final push. Where it really does seem like you hate our son. We had 2 sons, not 1. Almost like a moment where he really yells at her and gives her the riot act, and then things calm down, and then you have the final scene. I just want that extra put. That's just me, though. But I like the story. I like the characters. Again, Mary Tyler Moore, nice to see her in a fairly different type of role. Timothy Hutton, did a good job feeling, and alienated, shy, reserved, and then this course of breaking out of his skin. Judd Hirsch, very competent, works very well as psychiatrist. As I said, he got some chuckles out of me. And Donald Sutherland, again, greatly missed. I think he did a wonderful job. Very endearing, likable, heartfelt character who meant very well, and definitely had a nice little feel-good ending in a weird way, where Sally the mom just couldn't, wanted things to be normal, didn't want. It's like, if you have a drug problem, you gotta admit you have a drug problem. Otherwise, it's going to keep festering, like a virus, like a disease. And her, like, she wasn't walk around being this one-dimensional, yeah, but just, you just tell underneath about how nonchalant things are, or a certain way you acted. This family wasn't going to last. And sometimes that's what happens with families. So, anyway, very nicely made. I did like it. Thanks once again to Michael for the request. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.